import from CSP house. Okay, so 5 new users have been imported. So when I go in the group, yes. So for the Cisco users, it has been 5 users have been imported and role is acting on it. Now the next part is uh, create a SAML lab integrations with the test name like training test SAML and assign only to the non-Cisco users. So for the non-Cisco users, like we need to make one. So first we will go with the application integrations and then it will be we will be assigned to the non-Cisco users. So for the SAML integrations, again we go in the applications. We create one applications with the SAML. So the app name says training test SAML, and then the app logo we don't have, so it's an option. Next, then this I'm I'm placing the hypothetical. So whatever we receive from the applications team, this is the sign-on URL, that is the SS URL and the SP entity ID. We just place it here, and name ID format we can keep email address and Okta user format, Okta username, create an update, and we go with the next. It's in a space, that's why it's not taking. So this is an internal application finish. So we have done created, and then now we need to assign to the non-Cisco users. So again, what I need to do is like we need to create a group for the non-Cisco users. So groups, and then add a group non-Cisco users. Save. Okay, and then the rules. We can have the add rule. So uh, so what I will do, like here we don't have equals starts with and content. So we don't have um, doesn't contains. So we can go with the Okta expression language, and if if let me see what is the what are the we can what conditions we can do for the non-Cisco users. So groups, So these are my Cisco users group, and one of the attribute that we need to pick up so that we can apply some of the that the conditions can be run on the non-Cisco users. So apparent, so basically, we have if we want to assign those to the non-Cisco users. So ideally we can mm, so this is we have already the groups has been created. So everyone will contains all users in the group. So we can assign to the Indian Terran Max and the sales and John Player and group test. So individually, so we can we can assign these groups to the users. So we can assign these groups to particular applications, or else because here I I'm not finding a common attribute that can be segregated for the non-Cisco users. So apparently we can we can we can assign these groups apart from non-Cisco users. We can assign to Indian Terran, Max users, Sales, John Player, and the group test. Or else for the mm, Cisco users group, we need to we need to mm, we can use one of the expression language, like for their mm, like manager ID, and then for their manager ID or any of the attribute, and then we can exclude that group from there. So for now, just for simplicity, we can go in the applications. So we have training test samples, and we have to do assignments. So it's for the assignment, we can assign to the groups. So here we have list of users, list of groups already associated. So we don't want to assign to the Cisco users. So I want to assign others, assign, and then the sales, and done. So we have assigned to the non-Cisco users. Um, Hope this is clear. Any questions or any like, or else like what are the means any suggestions, like if how we can have one of the non-Cisco users can be created. So which attribute we need to pick up to create non-Cisco users if you want to have if you want to have create if you want to have other group. Any idea how can we proceed? Okay, so these are the tasks that we had to perform. So we created in our tenant. Now, some of the basic. So I am covering this part like if we have a like federation onboarding and the troubleshooting, right? And then we will be so this so this covers in for onboarding we have the SAML OIDC and SWA integrations, SAML OIDC and SWA integrations. So we have covered like SAML and quickly I will go with the OIDC OIDC integrations. So before that, some of the terminology for the SAMLs like so what we have discussed here like uh, SAML is an SSO protocol, so that we use for the um, it's an XML based standard that is used for the providing the SSO functionality once the application is onboarded to the tenant, right? So so what so talking about like the flow. So before that, so we have the flow like IDP and SP initiated flow. So I will just quickly go through the flows which are generally the IDP and the SP initiated flow. So basically, I, IDP means like identity provider initiated. So if you are talking with the IDP initiated, it means if we are on this Okta our IDP homepage and we have the icons for so this since this is the Okta admin page, so we will be having this training test SAML icon, and from there we can access this SP or this application service provider, right? So like here, like the user is like the users uh, try to reach these applications training test SAML. So so since the user first authenticate, so where the user first authenticate, um, so here in this case, like if we are authenticating at the Okta at the IDP, so that will be the IDP initiated. And if the users directly access this service provider URL, and from there we have the redirections to the users to authenticate at the IDP. So that will be the SP initiated flow. So just quickly an overview that, for example, this is I'm the users like I tries to reach one up to reach the applications. So I use so I want to access this applications test training test saml.com. Now this applications doesn't know where the flow. So it says that first you go and authenticate at your IDP. The user is sent back to the for the IDP login. Now the users authenticate at the IDP. The IDP will generate a valid SAML response. So basically SAML, mm, uh, so the authentication request will be forwarded from the service provider to the IDP. Now that authentication request for that authentication request message, once the user is authenticated, it will send a valid SAML response. So, so here user tries to log in this training test saml.com Now users puts his credentials. For that authentication request, this Okta IDP will generate SAML response. So in SAML response, it will it will it will send uh, it will send that SAML response to the applications via the user agent. Now that SAML response again uh, mm, being being validated, it's being validated and it's being passed at the ACS. That is the assertion consumer service. That is the that will be that is the application's URL, and it checks that it has came from the valid source or not. Since the users is so once the so once the application receives this the SAML response in the expected format, and it receives the SAML response message from the mm, from the specified or from the trusted resource or the origin. Now it validates and then uh, the users starts and the users logins and start the sessions. So basically, if the so this is the SP initiated flow. If we talk about if we are starting from here and from here the IDP initiated, if the users directly land on the IDP, so the IDP initiated flow starts at the point 3. So similar with the case like so this is for the SAML like and that we are the users and the identity provider. And basically, so what we have done here, like with the metadata, and that has all informations like entity ID, IDP, entity IDs, sign on URL, and the certificate. We have we have built a trust. We have built a relationship trust between the IDP and the SP. So this is why we have shared, this is why we have exchanged our metadata um, to have to have the relationship built with between our IDP and SP. So basically, the certificate which we have sent. So SAML is based on the open public key cryptography. So every time like the assertions is generated, it is the IDP or here like Okta will sign that assertions that will have authentication statements, attribute statements, and authorization decision that will be passed from IDP to the SP. So it has a 3 messages like authentication statements, attribute statement. So basically attribute statements and authorization decision. So what is important? So basically authentication is statements that will have information. So that will have informations that which users and at what time they have tried to authenticate to the IDP, right? So it has the so for the valid SAML assertions, so these are the SAML assertion contents. Because for every request, SAML request, a SAML response will be generated. So the SAML response will have these 3 key key informations in it. So authentication statements, it will simply states that the users is authenticated which users and at what time, that is the issue instant, and at what time they try to authenticate. And then the attribute statement, like what are the users attribute. um, it contains the users attribute informations like their first name, last name, and like their unique mm, their email address. So what are the mm, attributes that contains some informations about the users that will be passed in the SAML assertions. And based on the mm, based on the users credit if the users based on the users credentials verifications, it will have the informations like whether the users will be granted to use that particular requested resource or not, like the authorization decision. It will have the message. So these are the key informations that will be passed in the SAML assertions. So these are the SAML assertion contents. So basically going back to like if the users is authenticated, user is trying to reach our applications, so that applications will redirect to the particular IDP. So like here, this is our Okta IDP, and this training test.saml is integrated to our Okta IDP, and it has the ACS URL. It has this ACS URL like so if I so here is the metadata. Is your this is the sign out URL. So basically we have configured like training uh, www.trainingtest.saml.com. So like as a users, if you are trying to access, so that will redirect to my Okta IDP. So here it will be redirected, and it will it will it will ask for the authentication request. So for every authentication request, the IDP will generate the authentication response in terms in terms of SAML. mm, SAML response will be generated. So that will have the informations of the authentication statement, attribute, and authorization decision. So this covers like so we discussed like during the application onboarding for the SAM. If you are going for the SAML integrations, so the key informations that needs to be passed from our end to the application side in our SSO questionnaire kickoff call with the application team. So this is this is how we covered for the uh, federated sign-on methods with the SAML integrations. Similarly, I we can have like if the application supports like OIDC protocol. So depending upon the application that support which protocols to go with for the SSO integrations. So that again, the information needs to be come from the application team that which protocol that application supports. So if so we have so let now we will discuss like if we have an applications and we have an application that supports the OIDC protocols. So how to integrate that that applications. So similarly, we go with we will check with the sign in methods, and we will select the OIDC. And for the OIDC, we have web applications, single page applications, and the native applications. So depending upon the platform, like the application is on which platform, like web application, whether it's a web or this is single page or the native, right? So for the so if it's a web applications, like the application having the server side components, and like if you have a Go Java as they speak, so we go for the we select the web applications. Then next, so similar like we have in the SAML integrations, we will go for the application in we the way that application name. So let's say test OIDC. Then logo. This logo again needs to be come from application team or the business team, that which. And then the so grant type. So grant type, basically we have different grant types, like authorization, refresh, implicit. So based on, like for the authorization code grant is generally we go for the integrations, but the other grant type we can also go for the integrations. And if we have a client, if we have a machine or server to server communications where there is no human interactions is required, so we go with the client credentials. Then the key information that is required, so we discussed, like for the SAML integrations, uh, mm, what are the key informations and the message that is passed. So similarly for the OIDC applications, the things we need to discuss, like which applications, which kind of applications we are trying to integrate, like